Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into a huge concept in geography, development. We're going to unpack what it really means for a country to develop, and you'll see pretty quickly that it's about so much more than just money in the bank. So let's kick things off with a big question. When we label countries as rich or poor, what are we actually talking about? Is it just about who has the most cash? Or is there a much deeper, more human story going on? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down. So here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we're going to get a solid definition of what development even is. Then we'll look at how a country's jobs can tell us its economic story. After that, we'll face the reality of global inequality, check out the tools geographers use to measure everything, and finally, see what it all looks like with some pretty eye-opening data. All right, let's jump right into our first section. So what is development? I mean, really, it's not just about a country's bank account. It's about the real, tangible progress a nation makes. We're talking economically, socially, and technologically, all with one main goal: to make life better for its people.
And this right here is a super important difference to get. On one hand, you've got standard of living. That's the stuff you own: your house, your car, your phone. It's material wealth. But on the other hand, you've got quality of life, which is so much bigger. It's about how happy you are, how healthy you are, the education you get, and the freedoms you have. Real development is all about boosting both of these.
Okay, so let's see how a country's economy is actually put together. Because believe it or not, the kinds of jobs people have give us massive clues about where that country is on its development journey. Basically, every single job fits into one of these 5 categories. You've got the primary sector, which is all about taking stuff directly from the earth, farming, mining. Then, the secondary sector takes those raw materials and makes things out of them, like in a factory. The tertiary sector is all about providing services. Think teachers, bankers, bus drivers. And then you get to the really high-tech stuff, the quaternary sector for information and research, and the quinernary sector, which is where the big-shot decision-makers like CEOs and presidents operate. And this is where it all clicks together. You can tell a lot about a country just by seeing which sector employs the most people. In what we call less economically developed countries, or LEDCs, most people work in that primary sector. But as a country industrializes, becoming a newly industrialized country, or NIC, manufacturing takes over. And in the more economically developed countries, MEDCs, the economy is driven by services and knowledge, those tertiary and quaternary sectors. The jobs literally tell the story of development. So, all these different economic structures, well, they lead to a pretty stark reality. Development is absolutely not spread evenly across our planet. There are huge gaps in wealth and quality of life from one place to another. Now, it's really important we don't think about this like a light switch, developed or not developed. It's just not that simple. Geographers prefer to see it as a continuum, like a long road. Every single country is on this journey, just at a different spot and moving at its own pace. Back in the 1980s, there was this famous attempt to show this inequality called the Brandt line. It basically drew a line across the globe separating the wealthier north from the poorer south. Now, the world is way more complicated today, for sure, but it was a really powerful way to visualize that global economic divide. And this brings us to a massive idea for our time. Development can't just be a free-for-all to get rich right now. It has to be sustainable. That means, just like it says here, we have to meet our needs today without totally messing things up for the people who come after us. It's all about finding that balance between making progress and protecting our planet. Okay, so if development is this long, complicated journey, how do we actually figure out where a country is on that path? Well, we can't just guess. Geographers have a whole toolkit of indicators they use to get a clear, data-based picture. 2 of the big ones you'll hear about are GDP and GNP. They sound almost the same, but there's a key difference. GDP counts up all the money made inside a country's borders. GNP, on the other hand, follows the citizens. It counts all the money made by a country's people, no matter where they are in the world. But honestly, this one is probably the most powerful tool in the kit, the Human Development Index, or HDI. What's so great about it? It doesn't just look at money. It cleverly combines income with really important social stuff, like education and how long people live, to give us a much more complete picture of how people are actually doing. And the toolkit doesn't stop there. Geographers also look at the Physical Quality of Life Index, another great measure. They use something called the Gini coefficient to see how evenly wealth is shared inside a country. And of course, they look at raw health data, like life expectancy and infant mortality. Each of these gives us a different, valuable piece of the puzzle. All right, enough theory. Let's put some of these tools to work. What does all this data actually look like when we start comparing different corners of our world? Just look at this. The difference in life expectancy is absolutely staggering. On average, a person born in Japan can expect to live to be 80. In Mozambique, it's less than half of that, at just 36.6 years. This isn't just a number, right? This shows a massive gap in things like healthcare, food, and just general quality of life. And this map tells a similar, incredibly powerful story, but this time about infant mortality. You can see the pattern clear as day. The number of babies who don't make it to their first birthday is tragically so much higher in lower-income countries. This isn't just a colorful map, it's a visual record of global inequality when it comes to basic medicine, clean water, and nutrition. So to wrap this all up, what are the big things to remember? First, development is all about quality of life, not just being rich. Second, a country's jobs give us huge clues about its economy. Third, our world is definitely unequal, but we have to remember that development is a journey. And finally, we have amazing tools like HDI to help us measure and understand it all. Hey, if you found this explainer helpful and it cleared some things up for you, do me a favor and hit that like button, share it, and subscribe. Every click really does help other students find this stuff when they're searching for answers. And for more amazing geography content that just makes sense, you absolutely have to go follow Mr. Kim on all his social media platforms. Seriously, go check him out. It's great stuff. So I'm going to leave you with one last thing to think about. As we all push for progress, how do we do it fairly? How do we make sure that one country's development today doesn't steal the future from another country's children tomorrow? That's really the biggest question we face. Thanks for watching.